Well, isn't winter a real bitch? Looking outside, it's snow everywhere. It's 10 degrees minus, and all my fishing spots are iced over. There ain't nothing left to do but tie flies. And who'd better keep you company while tying flies than yours truly? Yes, that's right. El Presidente is back with another tying video.
Viva el Presidente!
If there is one thing that kind of revolutionized my fishing last season, is fishing these wiggle tails. I've got hold of my first wiggle tails back in March, so I've virtually fished all last season with them. Most of the time I fished them with a constant retrieve, so-called rolly-poly style. But there's been times that I've fished wiggle tail flies with kind of a regular strip stop style as well. But most of the times a constant retrieve has been working best for me. And of course the fact that I actually caught a new personal best late last season on a wiggle tail fly makes me love them even more, as you can understand. Today I'm tying these, my latest version of wiggle tail flies, using a stinger rig setup and the Jumbo Slim black tails. It's basically a flash fly, but I'm gonna show you a way to do the body, which I don't think you've seen before, which adds enough volume to keep a good profile while using the constant retrieve technique, but at the same time won't make the fly hard to cast. And you can adjust, as always, the colors of the materials to suit your needs. As most of my flies, I tend to go with either earthy colors or this, which is like black, silver, grey colors, which works kind of good across the season for me in my waters. So, without further ado, let's start tying.
Frag Out!
Now everything is prepped, let's start tying. As with most pike flies, this one also has a base of a bucktail color. I'm going with grey bucktail here. Just tap the root ends to your palm to even them out and then place it on top of the shank. And as you can see, I start the fly about a centimeter or so from the hook bend. Place 2 or 3 loose wraps around the base of the bucktail, then check to see that it is spread around the hook shank nicely before you tighten it, and secure it all with several hard wraps of thread. Cut off the waste ends neatly. Then add some super glue to the thread, and always hold your thread bobbin horizontal when doing this to prevent the glue from running down the thread into the nozzle of the bobbin. Wrap the glue soaked thread into the tying point to secure it all. Now fold the bucktail back and then build a long tapered cone of thread in front of the collar, like you always do with the reverse tied bucktail. Now we're adding the flash protection, as I call it. I use grey Nayat here that will prevent the flash from falling through the bucktail when wet. Spread the Nayat around the shank and make sure it's evenly spread before tying it down with a few hard turns of thread. Cut off the waist of the Nayat and comb it all through to blend it nicely with the bucktail. Don't forget to add super glue to the tying point once again. I'm adding a layer of flash as a tail here before doing the body. You can use any flash you like, either in the same color as the body or a completely different contrasting color. I'm gonna go with the Magnum flash in the mix holographic Moonlight here. That black and silver combo really looks great. The most important thing here is not to use too long flash. The one thing that the wiggle tails don't really like is when it gets tangled with other materials. It loses its wiggle instantly. So measure the flash to end at a maximum of 2 to 3 centimeters behind the stinger hook. Spread the flash around the shank a couple of millimeters in front of the Nayat and add a couple of very loose wraps around the flash, and then make sure it has spread around the shank evenly before tightening the thread and tying it down. Fold the flash back and tie it down thoroughly before adding more super glue to the tying point. Now take a few deep breaths and prepare for the body. It's not really that complicated, but it demands a bit of extra concentration and you need to be extra meticulous for a while. If this is done correctly, you will get a really nice body blend with both movement and illusion of volume that, if I might say so myself, looks really good. First thing you do is tie in a piece of Baiftish emulator flash in the color of grey ghost. Just in front of the tied-in emulator flash, you're gonna create a long dubbing loop for yourself. It has to be so long that you should be able to rest the dubbing twister on the table once the dubbing loop is done. I will explain why later. Then wind your thread forward to the hook eye, throw on a half hitch to prevent it from unwinding and put it to the side out of your way. Add your dubbing twister of choice to the dubbing loop and add dubbing wax to the greater part of the dubbing loop. Use a flash blend of choice, but make sure you keep the flash fibers at a maximum about 20 to 22 centimeters of length. Add the flash inside the dubbing loop and be careful and thorough and spread the flash evenly inside the threads. I know this angle is not the best to see what's actually going on here, but there are several other videos out there if you want to learn more on dubbing loops and adding flash. I've put a link to one where Niclaus Bauer shows it, so that will help you if you need help with dubbing loop flash. Now start spinning the dubbing twister, and if you have the same design that I have, just be careful that you don't twist it too fast, because it will tangle the flash a lot. Once all flash fibers have started spinning, you can take a long dubbing needle and start untangling the flash. Basically, just poke the needle in there, in the different loops and pull them out. I've tried to add a third camera here so you can get a slightly better angle of what's going on. I usually spin the flash at least one more time to really make sure they are stuck in the dubbing loop, and then untangle all the loops one last time. Now wet your fingers and start stroking all the flash fibers downwards with an aim to have all the fibers on one side of the dubbing loop. You will see later that we're gonna have problems having them stay like that, but as long as they are like this to start with, it will make it much easier to create a nice body. To make sure you have flash all the way up to where the dubbing loop meets the hook shank, you might want to add a wrap or two with the dubbing loop here. Okay, so now to the challenging stuff. We are now gonna wrap the emulator flash forward and use the dubbing loop to secure it. I like to make sure that the tail section is out of the way when I start to minimize the risk of tangling materials together. Now wrap the emulator flash half a turn forward, and take notice that the emulator flash is built up on 3 horizontal threads that holds the vertical fibers together. The idea here is to wrap the dubbing loop in the space between the lower 2 and the last one, like I've indicated here. So hold the emulator flash stretched with one hand and wrap the dubbing loop after it. Now stroke all the flash backwards and pinch it down with one hand, while wrapping another half a turn with the emulator flash. Then follow with the dubbing loop again, and after every turn, make sure you stretch the emulator flash and stroke the flash fibers in the dubbing loop back. Again, pinch the dubbing loop with flash down and wind another turn with the emulator flash. There might be times when you need to put the dubbing twister down to use both hands to untangle it and getting it all together before the next wrap. This is why I told you earlier to make the dubbing loop long enough. You will basically keep doing this for a couple of more wraps until you reach a point about 5 to 6 mm behind the hook eye. Let the dubbing loop hang to the side as you tie the emulator flash down and off here. Then follow with one last turn of dubbing loop before tying it all down with several turns of thread here. Pick out the body with your dubbing needle to untangle all flash fibers. Now the body is finally done. Throw on a half hitch or whip finish here to make sure that the thread don't come off now. For the head, I'm gonna do another small dubbing loop that I'm gonna add a darker color of flash to. Once you've done a few of these flies, you can add this to the same dubbing loop as the one we used for the body, because you will learn how much flash you're gonna use and how to spread it to reach the entire fly. But again, the advantage of doing it in 2 dubbing loops like this is that you have secured the emulator flash more thoroughly this way. I'm using olive flashabou for the head part. Cutting it down rather short makes the tapering of the fly better. Add wax again to the threads and add the flash, spread it out and start the twisting. Stroke the flashabou fiber downwards again to collect them at the same side of the dubbing loop before winding it forward 4 to 5 turns up to the hook eye. Tie the dubbing loop down and cut it off before finishing the tying here with super glue and a couple of whip finishes. Poke out any trapped fibers once again with your dubbing needle or comb it through with your comb. Now let's finish this fly by adding a couple of eyes. I like to use 9 or 11mm eyes here, and why not use the new yellow and white contrasting eyes from fly dressing. Glue them on with super glue gel on each side, and then fill in the gaps on top and bottom with UV resin like Bug Bond or epoxy glue if you prefer that. So, actually only one thing left to do. Remove the protection from the stinger hook and choose your tail. I'm gonna go with this black one, but this is actually the Jumbo Slim one. Just snap it on back here. And there you have it. Wiggle tail flash fly. Why always me? With a little twist on the body. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you learned something today again. And you know, as always, till next time, do like the pike's tooth. Stay sharp. See ya!